Good afternoon. I'm Valerie, one of the speakers of today, and I'm also the founder and president of Teen Animals, the Scientists. So I'm sure that you all have seen sharks either in the wild or in movies and documentaries. While they're often portrayed as being villains, do you know that actually sharks have a very important role in our world, and there are a lot of basically misconceptions about them. So today, our webinar's title is called Shark Savvy, Understanding, Conserving, and Celebrating Sharks. And we have two other speakers, including Andrea Richey, the Executive Director of Hong Kong Shark Foundation, and Ainna Abassi, leader at Teen Animals the Scientist, and she's also a passionate environmental engineer. Yep, so without further ado, let's start the sharing. So my part will be about shark science, significance, and survival struggles. So first off, what are sharks exactly? So basically, sharks are a type of fish, mostly with the typical fusiform body shape, also known as being rounded and tapered at each end. And sharks, like other kinds of fish, live in water, have fins, and breathe with gills. Besides, they are also cold-blooded as opposed to humans who are warm-blooded. And sharks are also known to be covered in denticles. Denticles are a type of scales with the texture like sandpaper. What you might not be aware of is that sharks have skeleton made of cartilage rather than bone. So cartilage is soft, elastic, and flexible. And from this image, you can see denticles seen from an electron microscope. So there are many parts of a shark, and shark's body is also very intricate. So you can separate a shark into three parts, including head, trunk, and tail. So for the head, there are eyes, nostril, and mouth, and also other parts. And for the trunk, you can take note of the pectoral fin and dorsal fins, whereas for tail, you can take note of the caudal fins. In fact, there are many species of shark. There are more than 500 species of shark. However, only a few species actually attack people. And many species of shark, on the other hand, are classified as endangered or threatened due to their slow reproduction rates, habitat loss, as well as overfishing. Sharks also live all over the world in various water bodies, ranging from deep ocean, open ocean, coral reefs, freshwater lakes to rivers. Sharks also have different kinds of diets. For example, they can be meat eating, or some sharks actually only feed on planktonic foods such as zooplankton and zooplankton. So this means that not all sharks actually eat meat, and very few species attack people. On the other side, there are sharks with various modes of reproduction. So some of them basically unlike humans, their lives, and for the others, they lay eggs that develop and hatch outside the mother's body with no parental care absolutely after the eggs are laid. Let me admit the people first. And meanwhile, sharks are very important to our world. So there are various reasons why sharks are important. So to begin with, sharks have been keeping the ecosystem afloat for 400 million years, and sharks tell us a lot about ocean health. So you can see that 400 million years is a really long period, and sharks have been surviving for so long. However, due to humans and human activities, sharks are now on the verge of extinction, and a lot of species are endangered. And meanwhile, sharks also directly impact prey species and indirectly affect other species and drive natural selection. Since sharks are apex predators, basically they feed on a lot of other species, especially fish and also sea turtles, which live in the water. And if there are no longer sharks, then the prey of the sharks will be overpopulated and they will continue feed on some smaller species or plants, and this will lead to the extinction of other species. Meanwhile, you might not be aware of this, but actually sharks capture carbon by maintaining the number of sea turtles who feed on seagrass meadows. And seagrass meadows are very important for our world and ecosystem because they store twice as much CO2 per square mile as terrestrial forests. There are also other reasons why sharks are important even though they are more sidetracked. So for example, looking from the cultural side, sharks are often adopted in movies, and actually sharks are also shown in songs and also cartoons such as Baby Sharks, which is going viral. And also sharks are adopted as an iconic symbol like some plushies in IKEA. So sharks can be cute and a lot of children actually love them. And meanwhile, in some cultures, such as Pacific Islands cultures, shark hold a significant status as a deity, as a manifestation of ancestor, or as a guide to voyagers and fishermen. There's also some people who value the gods of sharks. Meanwhile, some people think that sharks are a symbol of guidance, strength, and protection. Unfortunately, sharks are constantly affected by human activities. For example, overfishing is a really serious problem. A study of 18 oceanic sharks and ray species found that overfishing has led to a 71% reduction in their number globally since 1970. And climate change also perpetuates the endangerment of sharks, as sharks are forced to move to new areas because of the increasing water temperature. And when they move to new areas, they may face a lot of problems. For example, they cannot adapt to the new environments there due to insufficient food supply. Industrial use also leads to a lot of problems faced by sharks. Some people may kill a lot of sharks for shark teeth for weapons and jewelry, and also shark skin for sandpaper. It's very noteworthy that there are actually a lot of alternatives, so we do not really need to kill sharks in this instance. And worse still, a lot of sharks are consumed because of the following reasons. So, firstly, some people may think that consuming shark fins is a very prestigious act. They think that it can show how wealthy they are. Therefore, 73 million sharks are killed every single year for shark fin soup, primarily to supply the markets in Asia. Besides, some people think that sharks have some medicinal uses. For example, some people may believe that sharks can heal quickly from wounds and resist infections. Meanwhile, shark cartilage is a food or a dietary supplement and may be an alternative cancer treatment. However, again, in this instance, actually there are alternatives to killing sharks, and there isn't really a lot of research proving the medicinal benefits of sharks. As you can see, we cannot survive without sharks, and shark conservation is also, meanwhile, a very important step towards addressing the SDGs, but specifically No.4 Quality Education, No.10 Reduced Inequality, No.13 Climate Action, and No.14 Life Underwater. So to begin with, concerning quality education, basically we believe that shark conservation is very related to education. Through educating people more about the importance of sharks, we can raise awareness about their needs and drive people to care more about the world around them. As for reduced inequalities, we believe that sharks also play a significant role in our ecosystem, and therefore we should show animal rights and care about their needs, given that sharks are also sentient creatures. So we should not kill them and do a lot of human activities that harm them. As for climate action, actually, um, protecting sharks can be about some methods such as reducing waste and also reducing industrial production and the release of greenhouse gases. And while we value shark conservation, we are actually helping to achieve carbon neutrality and benefiting our planets. And obviously, sharks live in nature, they live in water, so it's related to what life underwater. And at Teen Animals, the scientists we are also dedicated to advocating SDGs through science and dialogues. These are some pictures of our previous events. So we hold events both online and offline. So for online events, we have organized some webinars, and for face-to-face events, we have organized some science fairs, booths, and also workshops as seen in these pictures. So now this is the reference page, and now I'm going to pass the mic to Ainna Abassi, and she was going to talk about why sharks matter through an environmental engineer's lens. Ainna is an environmental engineer from Pakistan.
Hello everyone, Assalamualaikum. I hope you all are doing well and thank you so much for joining us. This was a really good presentation and thank you for introduction, Valerie. Let's get to the next slide. So actually I have divided my topic into three layers. First is the ecological system stability, second one is biodiversity as functional asset, and the third one is feedback loop and risk modeling. Actually they look quite scary right now, but when we will deep dive in, they will be simplest. Okay, let's go to another slide. Yeah, so first one is the ecological system stability. Let's take an example like sharks are kind of boss in the ocean food chain, and when they are around, everyone below them behaves. But if the sharks disappear, it's like the whole classroom goes out of control. Some fish eat more and eat wrong stuff maybe, and algae take over, and the coral reefs starts to die off. This is called the domino effect, and it is called the trophic cascade in the water life. And one thing goes wrong, the bunch of things starts to follow. As an engineer, we try to understand these chains so we can design better solutions to keep things balanced actually. And the next slide. Thank you. So the next layer is about biodiversity as functional asset. In this, let's imagine that if you have a phone and it had only one app that did everything for you. If the app crashes, you are stuck, right? So that's kind of thing that happens in nature when there is low diversity. If one species disappears, the whole system can fall apart, right? So the sharks helps to make sure no one species takes over. So it's like they are making sure your phone has backup app in just in case. So more variety in the ocean means more strength, more backup, and more stability. Next slide. So now then we have the feedback loops and risk modeling. Here things get really interesting. So here let's think like, you know what thermostat works like, right? So when it gets hot, the AC kicks in to cool it down. That's the feedback loop. And sharks create a negative feedback loop. Like they keep the mid-level predator from overgrowing, and that keeps the rest of ocean in check. When you use models, it's like video game simulation, and to test what might happen if the sharks were out or there was a temperature rise or any kind of similar thing. That helps us engineers to plan for problems before they get out of hand. Next slide.
Hello.
So this is the sharks as bioindicators in the system design. We engineers call anything bioindicators if they are living and they are used for data collection or any information that we get from them to of environmental changes. So we call them bioindicators. So if the sharks number of sharks drop in the ocean, and it usually means something bigger is wrong, right? Maybe overfishing, there is some change in population, something is out of balance. thanks to the tech like satellite digs, we can actually follow shark movements and behavior from space. And that gives us real time information to make better decisions and fix the issues early as possible. Next slide. I tried to keep things simple. I hope you all are understanding things. So there are some in the engineering interventions that we can do to protect sharks and stabilize the systems. Like, so what can we actually do? Well, we can set up protected zones in the ocean where sharks are safe, kind of like wildlife parks, but underwater. And we can also design better fishing tools to they don't accidentally catch sharks. And we can also even build artificial reefs to help build fish communities. Basically, we are using smart design to help nature do its things. Next slide. Yeah, so what sharks have for engineers' future, we can it helps us in biomimicry. Biomimicry is like copying the nature to make advanced tools. Like for example, we are studying how sharks move so we can design better submarines. And we can also use AI to track them and their health and their population to predict ocean health. Actually, the future of engineering is not just building things, it's building things that works with nature, not against it. Next slide. Yeah, so in conclusion, I would like to say that to all the engineers and all the people who are hearing me right now, let's engineer a system that respects, protects, and regenerates the balance to protect sharks and any species out there. We should work with nature, not against it, right? Thank you so much for hearing me and being here.
Thanks a lot to Anna for her wonderful sharing about her views related to sharks. And let's pass the mic to our third speaker, Andrea Richey. She's going to talk about how to and why should we be shark guardians.
Thanks, Valerie. Hello, everyone from Hong Kong. Yeah, and good
Hello,
presentation, Val.
hello.
Hi, good presentation, Valerie, and good presentation, Anna. I even learned a lot. I just want everybody to understand how grateful I am for your time today. And also, I am not a scientist. These two ladies, I think, are way smarter than I am. And I am, in fact, an ex lawyer. And 10 years ago, I decided to quit my job in the corporate world and join Hong Kong Shark Foundation in Hong Kong as a volunteer, and now I'm the executive director. So I've actually been in Hong Kong for 35 years. So I've been here a long time. And I want to just talk to you a little bit about the global shark crisis because many people are mistaken that they think this is just something in Asia. They think this is just something happening, especially in China, and something that only Chinese people do. So let's just learn a little bit about what is going on in the world and what is the real crisis all about. Next. There's over 100 million sharks killed every year. We estimate that a number. We probably think that's very low. It's very hard to measure sharks because they have to move around in the ocean, but that's just for their fins. We believe over 270 million sharks are now killed because they're not just using the sharks for their fins. Next. In fact, Hong Kong is the global shark fin trade hub in the whole world. We estimate 50% or more of the global trade is traded through Hong Kong. And that is huge. So, it's not illegal to buy and sell or trade shark fins in most places in the world, and it's definitely not illegal in Hong Kong. What you're looking at here is right by, oh, go back, please. This picture actually is on a rooftop in Hong Kong in a place called Shek Tong Shui or near Sai Pun, where I live. Next, please. So we have already learned that over 500 species are protected, but only 12 are protected in Hong Kong. Next. So why are sharks important? Well, you've learned that already from Ainna and from Valerie. The most important thing that they do is they help enable biodiversity. They maintain healthy marine ecosystems, and they help us to manage the climate. Next. But what are sharks used for? Excuse me. Next. Well, in Hong Kong, we did a survey and we found that 98% of Hong Kong's Chinese seafood restaurants were serving shark fin. That's pretty sad, right? And this is a beautiful picture of if anybody, excuse me, knows their sharks. This is the largest shark there is. This is a whale shark. Now, whale sharks are very unique because they're filter feeders and they don't even have teeth anymore. Excuse me, they have evolved past teeth. And in fact, as filter feeders, what they do is the water goes in their mouth and they filter out the food like microplankton and also oxygen. But you see, this man is standing next to a whale shark fin. And I ask 5-year-olds when I teach students, why do you think this man is smiling? And they know that in fact it's money. He's happy because he's going to make a profit off these endangered species. Next, please. You know, does shark fin soup have any taste? Well, in fact, no. It has no taste. It's just cartilage. So if everybody were to wiggle their nose and wiggle their ears, that's what you're eating. And that does not have taste. Kind of like if you ate your fingernails. So, why do people eat shark fin soup? It's purely a status symbol. Next, please. In fact, did you know that many places in the world now are eating shark meat? Yes, even though we're the hub for shark fin soup here in Hong Kong. Did you know that around the world, fish in fish and chips is mostly shark meat? Like, for example, New Zealand is lemon fish. Australia is flake. In the UK, it's rock salmon, and other places. We're going to learn next, please. This is a great illustration of shark meat. People don't even realize that they're eating it. Next, please. In fact, this picture is a picture of a whale shark. It's an endangered and near extinct whale shark. This is in Karachi, and this is very common, right? People don't even know that they're eating it. Next, please. And this is something commonly eaten in Pakistan called mangra, and also something called finger fish is sold in the markets, and people don't even realize that they're eating it. They think it's actually something that's taboo to be eaten, but it's not. But the vendors, they keep it secret that it's shark. Now, why do people like to have this in fish and chips and in mangra and in this fish fingers or finger fish? Is because there's no bones in the meat. The sharks only have soft bones or cartilage, so it's easy to use as shark steaks, in fish and chips, etc. Next, please. This is a picture of India, and this shows you the most popular places and what types of sharks. On the East Coast, they're in Kakinada. They are catching sharks. You see all the ocean they have there, and they're catching all types of sharks like silky, bull, hammerhead. And on the West Coast, in Goa, they're catching blacktip, hammerhead, bull, many different types. Next, please. Yes, and in this picture you can see this is in India, all these baby sharks that are being caught. And Valerie mentioned earlier that they are low producers and slow producers. And if you catch sharks that are called pups, by the way, if you catch these pups when they're too young, they cannot reproduce. And that is causing the numbers of sharks to plummet greatly. Next, please. In the Philippines, where you can go diving in many beautiful places and they have many marine protected areas, you can also, in the southern part, like in Bohol and Cebu, you can find a dish called kinunot. And this is actually taking shark meat and mixing it with coconut milk. So it is all over the world. It is not just something that is eaten here in Hong Kong. And I wanted people to be aware that we're all contributing to this. So we should be aware because actions have consequences. Next, please. In fact, in Portugal, Spain, Italy, Greece, Turkey, there's a very common dish called ceviche, which is where you take fish, a shark, meat, you cut it up, you serve it with like lemon and cilantro, and this is the number one food eaten in the world. And so when you ask people where are, who's eating this, actually Brazil is the country that eats the most shark in the world. And this is why. It is because of ceviche. Next, please. Another thing is shark liver oil. They take the oil from the shark's liver and they extract it out and sell it and promote it as a health supplement. Not good. Next, please. They put it in lipstick. Next. They put it in moisturizer. So, ladies, if you're going to buy, or men, if you're going to buy moisturizers or if you're buying any cosmetics, always be a label reader. Read the label. Look and see. Does this have squalene in it? Does it have shark liver oil? Does it have any animal parts? If you want to be 100% sure, you have to make sure that it's cruelty free and you have to make sure that it's vegan. Then you know no animals were harmed. Next, please. In fact, the shark skin is used to make shoes and bags and belts. Italy is number 2 in the world for shark consumption. And one of those reasons is because of this. They are master tanners and they are very skilled at making leather products. And in Hong Kong, we can buy shark shoes or ray shoes, belts, bags right here if you want to. And I'm sure that some of those products are endangered, but unfortunately, it's very difficult to control. Next. It's probably in your pet food. If it says fish, scraps or fish in your pet food, there's a good chance that it's also shark meat that has been left over and sold to the pet food industry. Next. This is a great example of something I bought in Hong Kong. This is cartilage as a chewy toy. So, Hong Kong Shark Foundation is an NGO that is very much about behavior change. We hope all of you will realize that your actions have consequences. And so there's a saying, if we stop the buying, it will stop the killing. So let's stop buying these products that have shark in them, and then you're doing your part to stop the killing. Next. Now, there's a marketing campaign in Hong Kong. Some of you who speak Cantonese or Chinese know "bao sam qi tou" in Cantonese or "bao shen qi du" in Mandarin. And this big four are the big four things that are sold at weddings and big banquets. And the reason why these four things, which is abalone, sea cucumber, which is actually not a cucumber, it's an animal, shark fin and fish maw, which is fish bladder. These four things, in fact, are some of the most expensive things that you can buy. Most expensive. I have seen more than $2,500 per kilo for shark fin in Hong Kong. So it is a luxury item and it is a status symbol. Next, please. So we have lost over 70% of the shark population in just the last 50 years. Isn't that crazy? In my lifetime, 50 years, we've lost 70%. Next, please. Let's look at why. What is the number one cause why 1/3 of sharks are near extinction and why we've lost 70% of the sharks in 50 years? I'm going to tell you the answer, okay? It's overfishing. Okay, it's not pollution. It's not anything else. It's overfishing. Look at these nets. Millions of fish and other animals are killed when these massive gill nets are sent out all over the world, in the Indian Ocean, in the Pacific Ocean, all over the Atlantic Ocean. It's all over the world, and it's a problem because we are over consuming. We need to change the way that we look at what we do in terms of food and consumption, but also how our actions are having consequences on the climate, sorry, on the planet. Next, please. In fact, many of you probably didn't know that Hong Kong is the second largest consumer of seafood in Asia. And we only have 7 million people in Hong Kong, right? We're the eighth largest consumer in the world. We eat something like 67 kilos of seafood a year. It's probably more than that now, right? And we're the biggest shark importer in the world. Next. I am going to ask this question. You don't have to answer it, but I'd appreciate if you think about this. Do you think that this is a sustainable practice? I think the answer is pretty clear. No. This is not sustainable. This is on a rooftop. I think we should consider changing our habit. Maybe we should think of fish as friends. Sharks should be our friends and not food, right? Because you are the generation that we are going to rely on for your future planet being green and clean. Next, please. In fact, every day that because I know some of you are thinking, well, what can I do? I'm sitting here in Pakistan or Hong Kong or wherever. What can I do? Well, this is very simple. Every day that you eat a plant based meal, right, saves you 4,200 liters of water, 20 kg of grain, 2 square meters of forest, 10 kg of carbon dioxide, and the life of at least just one animal. And that's just because you chose that day to eat no animals. It's a great way to start. Next, please. Now, here's a pop quiz for those of us in Hong Kong. Give me a thumbs up if you think you have sharks in Hong Kong. Anybody think sharks in Hong Kong? Well, the answer is no. We no longer have any sharks in Hong Kong. Yeah, we don't. Can you believe that? Um, you will sometimes see some sharks, like a whale shark or a spay-nose shark, come into Hong Kong, but they do not come in large numbers. And the biggest problem is, even if they come into Hong Kong, what's happened to their food supply? The food supply in Hong Kong has also been overfished. And so any sharks that return, they have nothing to eat or they're killed, right, for food. So sadly, we don't have sharks in Hong Kong anymore. And I've been here 35 years. And when I first came to Hong Kong, we did have sharks, but we don't anymore. Pretty sad. Next. So the country that eats the most shark, does anybody remember? I kind of gave it away a little while ago. The country, next slide, it's Brazil. It's not China. Most people say China. It's Brazil. Can you believe that? And that is because Brazil has a large population. More than 220 million people live there. They have a lot of coastline, just like India, just like Hong Kong. Access to seafood is very big. But why are they eating? Are they eating shark fin soup? No, they are not eating shark fin soup. What are they eating? Remember I told you about ceviche? That's what they're eating. They're eating the shark meat. Very similar to what they're eating in the Philippines, in the Quino Knot, and what they're in the mangra, what they're eating in different types of dishes, and they're not telling people that it's shark. Next, please. And I think you should all be aware that because sharks are apex predators, they have to eat a lot of little fish every day. And there's so much lead, mercury, arsenic, PCPs. There's so much pollution in the water now that it is going into these sharks, sorry, going into the fish. Then the sharks are eating lots of little fish, and we call that bioaccumulation. And so it's accumulating heavy amounts of lead, mercury, arsenic. Not good for you, not something you want to be eating at all. Next, please. So the pollution follows the food chain. Next, please. And ends up like this. This is a beach in Hong Kong, if you can believe it, after a typhoon. This is in a place called Discovery Bay. And this is happening all over the world. And this is what fish have to live in every day. And so, I think we need to reevaluate our plastic use. Next, please, Valerie. And we have to evaluate how we're going to take action. So let's just go quickly through a few of these things. Next. Take a pledge. If all of us, there's 50 people joining in on this call. If we all pledge, okay, I'm not going to eat any shark anymore. And I'm not going to, maybe for one day, I'm not going to eat any animals, right? Take a pledge. Say, I'm not going to eat this anymore. That is what you're going to do as a small action item, but it speaks mountains. And you can tell your friends about it too. Next, please. You could organize a beach cleanup. That would be very easy, right? That is the same beach that you saw earlier in the slide. Can you believe that? That is the same beach. And that beach is also, look how clean it is in the background after we cleaned it up. But it is very difficult to get to that. Go ahead, next, please. We should reduce and reuse before we get to recycling. I think this is very, very important. We should all have water bottles that we can sip off, right? That we can drink. Try not to buy plastic. Very important because it ends up in the ocean. It ends up in the landfill and it ends up in the ocean. And many of us live in places where we can't recycle. But what you can do is reduce and reuse before you recycle. Next, please. If any of you are in secondary school, you could start a Shark Ambassador Club at your own school. And this is very popular in Hong Kong. Every year, I talk to over 10,000 students in Hong Kong, and I love it. So if any of you are in secondary school right now and you would like me to come to your school, great. But if you are far away, we could do a Zoom with your environmental club, or maybe maybe you have a biology teacher or a teacher that really cares about the planet. I've left my contact details in the group chat, so you can reach out to me. And I think it would be a great way for us to kick off a club that just raises awareness. Go ahead. Next slide, please. We can support ecotourism. A live shark is 200 times more valuable than a dead shark. Next, please. We have educational walking tours here in Hong Kong. Next. You could fundraise for us. We're a very small charity. We get all of our money from teaching at schools and from donors like you. Maybe you'd like to make a donation. You can go to our website, or maybe you want to do a hike for sharks. Do something in your school where you do crowdfunding. Next, please. You could volunteer. This is my friend Catherine. She was a volunteer for 2 years from New York City. And she just sent me this video. Hi, Catherine. Are you there? There she is. We don't need to be afraid of sharks, right? We need to educate people about them. Go ahead. Next, please. You could raise awareness in your community. Raise awareness. If maybe it's not your school, maybe it is your community center, or maybe it's within your family. You could also like us on social media. That's very important. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn. For your older people, we're on Facebook. I think it's very important to expand our social media so that people understand the problem. Education is very, very important. I don't know if you know, but I'm a farmer. And what I'm doing right now is I'm planting the seeds of change. And so social media helps us do that. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. These are just students who care. This is an art competition we had at a primary school in Hong Kong. What a great message. What's the message that she's giving? She's only 9 years old, right? She wrote down say no to shark fin, save the ocean, keep the sea plastic free. It's fantastic. And in this event today, Valerie has come up with a great idea to have a slogan competition. So this is a perfect example. These are sort of slogans that a 9 year old came up with, and I use this every day in my presentations to my 10,000 students. Next, please. We can go past this because of time. So, to end my talk, we're talking about a global shark crisis, which is why I'm very grateful to young leaders like Ainna and Valerie, and to raise awareness around the world. It's not just about China. And in fact, did you know that most people in China have never had any shark of any type? And especially never shark fin soup. It's a Cantonese delicacy that has been spread around the world. And the fastest growing countries eating shark fin soup today, you ready for this? Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, these places are growing it. Even if they're not eating it, they're catching the sharks and they are exporting it. And this is somewhere in the Strait of Hormuz, right? And so you can see these are all these sharks that these fishermen have caught. And circled in red is an endangered species called a hammerhead. And so that's quite sad. It is a cruel and an unsustainable practice. And I hope all of you will take on board and maybe change your habit based on what you learned today, because education is very, very important for us. Next, please. You can be the change. Even if you're just sitting somewhere around the world, I believe whatever the cause is, if it's not sharks, if it's pollution, if it's litter, whatever it may be, all of you can be part of the change in our future. Okay? And there is a great movie called Racing Extinction that you can probably watch. And I just think the more we're educated, the more we can respect the planet. Could you go to the next one, please? And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much to everybody, to Valerie, to Ainna, for everybody for, putting us together and connecting with us. I hope you will connect with us on social media, everybody. It's a Saturday. I appreciate your time, but I would love to work with any of you, especially if any of you want to be an intern. So thank you again, and let's keep in touch.
Thanks a lot, Andrea, for her amazing speech. So next off, we are going to announce the winners of the slogan competition. But before that, Andrea has also mentioned about being interns at the Hong Kong Shark Foundation. And if you are interested in shark conservation, you can also reach out to us for more information. You can, in the feedback form that you can fill in now, basically you can see a section where you can ask some questions to us as well. And we are looking forward to your submission, which can help a lot in organizing our future events that cater to you. So, firstly, here is some basic information about the slogan competition. So we have the preliminary judges and also the final judge. And it is really great to see that we have over 75 submissions from more than 5 countries. Shout outs to China and Hong Kong, Pakistan, Ghana, India, the UAE, and more. And let's embrace a future where there is no more shark fins because it can create a more fantastic future. So, Andrea, could you read out the overall comments?
Sure, sure. Well, Valerie asked me, what did I think? And I just wanted to say thank you to all the students who participated in this competition. There were so many amazing slogan submissions that it made it very difficult to choose. To me, everyone is a winner today. However, we did choose the top 9 slogans, and we hope that these students will create creative posters to go with the slogans that they came up with. And then we can put those impactful slogans on our Instagram account. That will go on our Facebook. It will also go on LinkedIn. It will go also on our website. So we're super excited about this competition. I just think I read so many great slogans, and you're so kind and so compassionate about sharks and the ocean. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
For the teenagers who participate in this slogan competition but may not be selected as the winners, you can also reach out to us if you want to create content and posters because we believe that passion is what really matters in shark conservation and also advocating the SDGs.